Hey guys, what's going on? It's Louie here, back with episode 3 of my How to Get Good series in Fortnite. In this video, I am going to be covering the absolute basics and fundamentals of building in this game. So I'm going to cover your building pieces, and then go over some very basic common builds that you need to know in this game. Then I'm going to talk about which materials you should be prioritizing, and then I'm going to talk about where you can go and what you can do to improve your building. So I'm going to go ahead and drop down somewhere quiet that's going to give me a lot of mats, and then we can go ahead and get started with this tutorial. So I will see you guys on the ground. Alright, so I'm coming down. I see one person on me, so I might have to take care of them really quickly. See if I can find a shotgun, which I can. Grab some materials. Take care of this guy. He's one shot. High ground on him. Very easy kill. Alright. So now I'm going to mine up some materials, and then we can get started with this tutorial. Alright, so I've kind of looted up. I don't have the best loot. I don't even have any shields. But I've got enough materials to get started with this tutorial, and since it is a tutorial and I've got a pretty good circle, I may as well get started. So, what you need to know in this game is that Fortnite is a builder before it is a shooter. And what that means is, yes, shooting is important. The only real way to kill someone apart from explosives is by shooting them. But you can have the best aim on the planet and lose to someone who has so-so aim or bad aim just because they know how to build and you don't. So I'm gonna go over the very basic builds today, which means actually I want that. I'm gonna be going over the builds that you need to know if you see someone who is stationary or who doesn't notice you. I'll go over some more advanced builds against other players that know how to build in the future, but for now we're gonna talk about our absolute fundamentals. So you've got 4 building pieces in Fortnite. You've got your wall, you've got your ramp, you've got your roof or your floor piece, and then you've got your actual roof, the kind of triangular shaped piece. And all these pieces get used a lot by virtually every good player, and they all serve different purposes. So first let's talk about the very basic aggressive build that you need to know if you see someone stationary. So let's say that shrub right there is stationary, and I want to go for them, and they may or may not see me, I don't know, but I don't want to take any risks. They may have good aim, they may not. If I come behind this tree and I kind of peek, they have a very good chance of seeing me. But if I come over here and I build a ramp up, then I have high ground on them. I'm aiming at their head, they're aiming at my body or my feet. I have a much higher chance of shooting. I can jump down, boom, easy kill. So that's the most basic build you need to know in Fortnite. If you see someone stationary or they don't see you, don't just run at them. Build ramps, try to get the high ground on them. Turn. That was a terrible shot by me. Alright, sorry for the weird cut there. Hopefully I edited this well enough so that it doesn't feel too out of place. But I want to explain ramping just a little bit more detailed again. We're going to assume that our opponent is stationary on the ground, not in a base, and may or may not see us. I want to kind of go over the different types of ramps, because I think it's not too advanced. It's something that even beginner players should be able to master relatively quickly. So again, let's assume that this shrub is a person, and we're going to go over the different ways to approach this depending on what they're doing. So if they're engaged in someone else, or they don't notice us, or they have no idea that we're there, then you're going to want to do what I said earlier. You're just going to want to go up to them. You don't want to approach them head on, because then they see you as well as you see them. They could get just as clean a headshot as you. Even if they don't initially see you, they could just turn, quick fire, because obviously sound is a huge aspect. You want to build up. You would go maybe 1 ramp, maybe 2 ramps, then look down and get a clean shot on them, and then go from there. However, there are times when simply building 2 ramps may not be enough. So, excuse me, if they're looking at you and they see you, or they're looking at you with a gun, there's a slightly different way you want to approach this. Now, if you're relatively already close and they're below you like this, then what you might want to do is build a ramp, build a wall after the ramp, then build a ramp, wall after the ramp, and that way, from where they are, to shoot down that ramp, they're going to have to shoot this wall, and they're going to have to shoot this ramp. So it means that they're not going to be able to shoot you down before you get that shot off. Whereas if you just built this, they might be able to shoot you down very quickly, and they might be able to get an easy kill on you. Now, the other way you can ramp and try to add extra security depending on where they are, depending on the situation, is to double ramp. So that's when instead of placing one ramp, you go 1, 2, 1, 2. And now if I destroy this ramp, you'll see the entire structure still stays up. And then the most secure way to build ramps, if you really don't want to see your ramps getting destroyed, is to double ramp with walls in front of both ramps. And you only want to do this if you're facing a good player, a player that is trying to knock your ramps down at all costs. And the way to do that, it eats through materials. So you very rarely need to do this, but against good players, it is something you need to learn. So you'd go ramp, ramp, wall, wall, and then you'd keep doing that. And oops, I'm bad at the video game, but it would, if you use turbo building and just hold down the button, it's ramp, ramp, wall, wall, ramp, ramp, wall, wall. And you can kind of do a little circle with your mouse, and it's relatively easy. Now, if someone were to want to knock this down, they would have to destroy both of these walls and both of these ramps to get my structure to fall. So, yeah, that's about it for ramping. And now, let's get back to the video. Next build you want to learn, and all these should come instinctively. So I have all my builds bounded to my mouse, so I can access them really quickly. I have my wall, my floor, and my ramp bounded to my mouse, so I can access it super quickly. So the next build that you want to learn is another very basic build, and this is kind of your defensive build. You see someone shooting at you, you don't know where they're coming from. You want to pull up your walls. You want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then build stairs in the direction of where you think the shooting came from. So let's say I'm just running around doing my thing, and then boom, I see someone behind me. We go 1, 2, 3, 4 stairs. If that's too low, I might do it again. Build a floor if you don't want to jump all the way up, and then stairs again. Again, very basic build. It looks like I'm doing it fast, but it's just because I have all the keys bounded quickly, and I also have turbo building on, which means that I can just hold down the mouse, and wherever I'm going, stuff is going to get built. Alright guys, I'm back again with another cut. Sorry about that, but there are a couple more things I wanted to explain. I kind of wanted to show you guys two more, I wouldn't say defensive, but kind of precautionary or like protective builds that you might need to use, or you will need to use on occasion if you ever want to like pop a med kit or pop a big shield, and you want to make sure that you're not able to get easily fired at. So the first one, it's very similar to what we just covered. It's going to be a 1x1, but instead of building a ramp and looking for your opponent, you're going to build a 1x1 here, and then you're just going to pop a roof over your head, and then you're going to pop whatever shield you want, and then you can very easily edit out of this by slicing your wall in half. If you want to have extra protection, you want to make sure that there's nobody above you that can shoot down your roof easily. You can also pop a roof on top, and that way they're going to have to destroy 2 things on top of you to get in, which means if they start shooting at you and you want to get out, you're going to have plenty of time to kind of get rid of that. The second very useful kind of precautionary build that you want to learn to master, and it's very easy, very efficient because it only takes 1 resource, is if you want to pop off a big shield or any shield or anything, you kind of just want to be in cover for a couple seconds and you're low on materials. You want to get one of these roof pieces, so just put it down. You can edit it up, bring it up like that, then edit it back down, and now you're safe inside of this roof. It is pretty risky because if it gets shot, you could be completely stuck. However, it's great for kind of very quickly popping off some sort of needed medical aid or something. So yeah, that's all I've got for this kind of small cut. And now back to the video. Alright, final build that I'm going to cover today is when you are trying to get high ground on someone that is already high. So let's say, let me get rid of this, pretend it's not even there. Let's say there's a guy here, up in this little 1x1, and I want to get to them. Now, if I put a ramp here and I go 1, 2, like that. Yeah, I'm ramping up, but they're here, they're going to be able to see me coming up, they're going to get an easy shot on me. So if you want to get high ground on someone that is already up there, you don't want to just ramp up to them. You want to do this little trick that lets you get high without necessarily moving forwards before you ramp. So the way to do this trick is you're going to build a wall or ramp, you're going to come up, you're going to jump, then build another wall, another ramp, floor piece, jump, wall ramp. And now suddenly, and I fell because I'm bad at the video game, but I can use this trick to get back up. This was actually my way. Alright. Now you're here, you can build a ramp. Now you have a good line of sight on them to get that easy finish. So that's the absolute basics of building. In terms of what materials you want to prioritize, you always want to save your wood for big fights. And this is why, although wood, once it's fully built, it's much weaker than everything else, when it's initially put down, it's the strongest material. That means the second after you put wood down, it's going to take more than one shot to destroy it. But if I put brick down, watch this. Or if I put metal down, oops. So I'm going to put metal down, and my revolver's not going to be able to destroy that easily. But if I had an AR and I put metal down and instantly started shooting at it, it would get destroyed really quickly because of how slow it builds. On the other hand, if I put wood down and I can just use the revolver to take 1, 2, 3 shots. So the wood is much easier, much harder to destroy, which means if you're ramping up at someone, you want to be using that wood because it means that it's going to be able to take some hits before it gets instantly destroyed. If you ramp up with someone with metal, you may be thinking it's the strongest item, but it's actually the weakest. So that means you always want to be prioritizing your wood over your brick and your metal. If you're climbing up a mountain, use your metal or your brick. If you're pushing someone, use your wood. Simple as that. Finally, and this is kind of the last point of this tutorial, I know this is a shorter one, but I'm just going over the absolute basics and fundamental mechanics of the building. So, in terms of where to go to practice, or how to practice, there are two good places. There are two good places on the map where you should go to practice your building. The first one is where I dropped, Wailing. The second one is Moisty. Moisty is great because each tree gives you way over 100 wood, so you can easily max out on your wood and just go ham practicing different builds, finding out what you like to do the most. And then Wailing is also good because you can max out on wood. I prefer Moisty because you also get a bunch of metal while you're there, and it's kind of more practical for rotation, so you can rotate into retail, salty. Wailing, you normally end up running the entire game like I'm doing right here, but you kind of want to just practice different scenarios. Maybe build up a fake base, practice pushing towards it, practice ramping, pretending that a shrub is your target. So if I want to practice my building and I want to pretend that that little wood pillar right there is a stationary target, maybe I run up, I practice going 1, 2, and not even having to think about it, just having it come entirely from my instincts. So, I mean, that's about it for the absolute basics of building. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will have more advanced videos on building in the future. I'm not sure exactly what my next video is going to be about. I have a bunch of ideas. I'm just not sure which order I'm going to be doing them in. So check the description for that because I will put it in the description. And that's all I've got for you guys for today. If I finish off this game with a win, I'll probably just post the rest of the gameplay. If I don't, then I'm probably going to end the video here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, adios.